What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and today we're back to talk about Warhammer 40k. In this video, I am talking about Warhammer Terrain because we got a question about this in one of our For the Greater Wars, and the question was, how do we make good 40k terrain without breaking the bank? So, the images you see here are all terrain that I've either made, bought, or found, and it's not as hard as you would think. So for the image you see here, the snowy ground is actually just a ceiling tile. You'd be surprised how much of like really cheap, inexpensive stuff you could find at your local hardware store. So ceiling tile, they're only like, I don't know, what, $2-3 for like a 2x2 sheet, or you can get them in even bigger sizes, but I think it works really well as just using it as just the floor or like the snowy ground for your battles. The other thing you see in these images are those little Christmas trees. These things are super inexpensive, and usually you can find them for really cheap, especially around Christmas time. You get like, I found like 20 in a bag for like $10. So, and they come with various different sizes. You've got the little tiny ones, the bigger ones, and they work really well with this type of terrain. For the rocks you see here, Gersh1 actually made those with pink foam. Pink foam is a little bit more pricier, especially since you have to buy it in bigger blocks, either 2x2 or 4x8. But essentially it's foam that you can like stack on top of one another, and then you have to get yourself a foam cutter to basically shape the foam into whatever you need it to be, whether it's rocky terrain or like barricades, that kind of thing. It's best to invest in a good foam cutter, or else you're going to have a lot of jagged edges and a lot of cleaning up to do, and overall you're not trying to spend too much time in making this. So that being said, the hardware store is your best friend when trying to find 40k terrain, or any terrain for that matter, because these boards, you can easily use them in Age of Sigmar, D&D, pretty much any tabletop war game you can use this. Now this piece of terrain I really loved, and it's very ingenious as to how I made it. So the dragons, the little shrines, the trees, all that can be found on your local pet shops. That's right, guys, all this is essentially aquarium terrain. These are a little bit pricier, depending on where you go, whether it's like PetSmart, Petco, that kind of thing. But you can easily get some awesome looking terrain, probably a little bit cheaper than you would at most places. You have many different things to go with, so I went with like a Buddhist shrine / temple, and all the parts and pieces were at that pet shop. And really you can go all out with this. Aquarium terrain is really fun because you have a whole bunch of wacky types of terrain you can get. There's like broken colosseums, you've got like statues and busts of like Greek gods, you've got skulls, that's another big one, rocks, that kind of thing. You can make desert terrain. Really, like, the sky's the limit, you just gotta get creative. Now for the floor that you see here with like those little rocks and whatnot, that's actually a welcome mat I found at Walmart. Obviously it says welcome in the middle, but you just put terrain over that and then you don't see any of the letters. But again, I thought it really fit the aesthetic of having like a temple or a shrine, and it's just crazy like what you can find when you're actually going to these stores with an actual agenda. Because most of the time you walk into a store, like let's say you go into a pet shop, you're there to buy pet food, or you're there to create like a terrarium and whatnot, and you can find a whole bunch of awesome stuff. Same thing with this. I decided to actually buy like the black rocks that you put at the bottom of an aquarium, and that adds a little bit more realism to your 40k games. You can actually see the little like I don't know, like plants that you put in the aquariums, that Skull Island thing, that was also at a pet shop. Like, again, like, you find rare treasures at these places. That base you see in like that bottom corner, that was actually a base I found on eBay. There's this guy just selling already pre-painted terrain bases, and I thought that looks pretty cool. And depending, well, eBay can be good and bad, because depending on where you go, sometimes you'll find stuff that's like dirt cheap. Like, people are just selling like broken 40k bits, broken 40k terrain, and with a little bit of creativity, you can make that into like a battlefield. If you're just buying like Space Marine legs, easily you could just like throw on some green stuff and make it look like a Space Marine got blown apart and that the legs are the only thing left. So eBay can be your best friend for that too. Another really cheap alternative to going to like pet shops and eBay stores and like just retail in general is using styrofoam and cups and cardboard, really. The other day, my TV crapped out on me, so I had to buy another one. And the styrofoam that they use to like package it and protect it, it looks pretty cool. Like, you could easily make that into like a makeshift like ruined building or something like that. Just by cutting like cardboard boxes, you can make barricades, little like outcrops or like towers, that kind of thing. So you just gotta be creative when making terrain. Here you see more shots. Again, all this is just by me going to my local pet shop. Sometimes they got deals, sometimes they could be a little pricey, but that's okay. You just have to like either become a member to get discounts or just wait till they go on sale. A lot of times the things that I bought here were discontinued, so which is even better because you know you're getting them at a cheaper price. If the aesthetic doesn't seem like 40k-ish to you, you can always just spray paint them black and then repaint them to make them look more grim dark. Another thing too is if you go to like hardware stores or hobby shops, that kind of thing, oftentimes you want to go to the back of the store where they just have like miscellaneous things. I don't know if you could see it that well, but you see like a little crystal rock at the bottom of this image. Those actually came from the inside of a fireplace. So I went to a hardware store and they were selling a fireplace that was the display model. And they had a box of like decorative stuff that you could put inside the fireplace to make it look, I don't know, they had like twigs and rocks and like sand and whatnot. So I asked them, hey, can I just buy the internal like decorative stuff for the fireplace? And they were trying to get rid of it, so they said, yeah, sure. So I got a deal on that. They were probably like, why would you ever need something like that? But I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. Gershwin actually said that he was using his old bath fan as AdMech terrain. So, you know, the sky's the limit. Get creative. Go to a junkyard. See what you could find, because like I said, one man's trash is another man's 40k terrain, literally. So that's all I got for this video, guys. Let me know if you guys have any other tips or tricks when creating or finding terrain to play 40k, Age of Sigmar, D&D, etc. Because the sky's the limit, like I said. You just gotta get creative and know what to look for when you're looking for it. That's all I got for today, guys. As always, thank you for watching. This has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I will be catching you guys in the next one. Peace.
Oh,